Hello, everyone. This is your host, Sharon Serota, and we're at SunGates Center, and we're located at 395 East Dundee Road in Wheeling, Illinois, Suite 500. And we just had a very, very fun event yesterday. It was our wellness fair, and where we had many readers and spiritual people here, and they were providing excellent consultations and healings for many people that came to our fair. And we have many, many events coming up in the near future. So to check our website, you'll find that out. Go to sungatescenter.com. So we welcome you and welcome any comments that you have, and feel free to reach out to us. We also have a phone number for you, 847-345-0988. And today, as our special guest on SunGates Radio, is Ella Arbit. Welcome, Ella.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. Glad to be here. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, and you're back again. And you are a graduate of Integrative Medicine Fellowship founded by Dr. Andrew Weil. And today's special topic is Reiki. So this is an introduction about Reiki. And for those that are unfamiliar about that, can you talk about what Reiki is?
Yes, it's an energy. The way to describe Reiki, there are so many particular ways to talk about Reiki. I found out a lot more than it was ever written or delivered to me by Reiki practitioners. But what was fantastic about Reiki, it sparkles within you. It gives you so much more than I anticipated at so many different levels. But until I had to stop at the point where I needed less of Reiki and more of me. That was very intriguing for me. I think I'm the only one practicing real science who knows there's a limit to Reiki, which was fantastic.
So what do you mean that there's a limitation? That is limited by ourselves, that we get in the way of the energy? Or I thought that the Reiki just flows through and goes through our hands in a Reiki session.
Well, Reiki gives you direction too, or directions on what's anticipated of you. But at some stopping point, God noticed me in a different realm than it was written for me. So I became more progressive than Reiki was pre-recorded for me. That part was very unique. It hasn't happened before. We all are humans, but something, its creation within me glitched maybe. Maybe there was a moment of realization that went above and beyond of what I was anticipated to produce with Reiki. I remember that it was my moment. It was my eureka moment. It was a unique moment, but it was my moment where I had to stop. And I remember everything within just paused. And it was unique. Let's just see it. And I felt it. And something grabbed me. It was, of course, God within that said, I need honesty with you. And that's what I remember very vividly about Reiki.
Yes, well, for those that may not really understand what Reiki is, that Reiki is a way of letting the energy flow through your body, your hands, and it has a special energy that's also helping people to heal. And, you know, it's putting your hands in certain positions over the body, and someone could either be laying down or sitting in a chair to receive Reiki. And you can also do self-healing for yourself regarding Reiki. So this wonderful energy also helps people to be healthier with their bodies. It could be preventive medicine, preventive maintenance. It could also help you to heal things within the body. That's why people go to Reiki practitioners, those who particularly have studied Reiki, who have become masters of Reiki. There's Reiki Master Level 1, 2, 3, and it moves on. And so these are the attunements that people get. And as they get more attunements, they are able to deliver additional, stronger Reiki. Is that correct?
Yes, all of the above. Also, what I felt during, it's a wonderful energy, and I thank that energy enormously. And my soul chose that energy, actually, to begin. That honestly was the chosen energy for I. But God within us also regulates. It's like a combustion. It's like a composite. But there was a problem. I felt that I needed more from my soul. It was a moment of completion. I completed a huge cycle that needed me to stretch it, but I felt so much more. And please forgive me, when your soul calls you to do something spontaneous, you respond, ignore, or choose. I did all of them. Why did I ignore? In that moment of truth, and it was a problem maybe less for me, more for God, because he needed to restructure what was anticipated of me. That's why it's collective effort. And anticipate. I started to anticipate. I started to actively pursue other perfections. But it's later. I'm not going to talk about that because the pride that I felt with Reiki, the honesty that I felt with Reiki was so enormously powerful that the glitch became my problem. Why? I started to learn so much more. And God only knows, the whiny me then came to him a couple of times and complained. I'm so sorry to say that, but this is a very spontaneous moment that we are creating, Sharon, with you and I. We're talking honestly, and honesty is what needs to prevail. So Father had to do what he has to do as a creator. He had to offer me creatorship, which was a tree. It was a tree that I needed to climb with him. Creatorship became powerful, problematic, enticing. Creatorship is it's part of the design. So I started. So structure like design becomes you walk backwards a little bit. You look backwards through his eyes to adapt, and you start studying design. So from glitch to design, and that's the programs that I started to design health-wise, but they're so avant-garde, they're so advanced that I'm still consuming my own time, not practicing medicine, and still feeling and thinking and not rushing into anything, because there are so many ascension issues that people might have if I start introducing ideas too fast, I think. Although Father says that he disagrees with me, that people are people and people are ready, and it's his creation, but he's allowing me as a creator to see everything that I want to see, and he doesn't want to kill that willpower that there is within, and he's still structuring me. I'm still a prodigy in his own hands, and I don't want to stop. I honestly feel like nothing is stopping me right now. But giving back, he's probing me every week and seeing the strength that I have for starting to give back again. It's a leisure for me right now. I'm still available to him, to people. I'm still feeling awesome. I still don't want to block myself, blocking my schedule, blocking my time. It's a springtime for me. Let it be.
Yes, and there's a certain choice that people could make to take that path that's at will, having that willpower to decide if that's what you want to do, and finding other ways of healing, and Reiki is just one of those. And, it's also a matter of deciding what it is that, do you have the calling for it? Is it something that you want to really live up to and then practice it, to learn it, to practice it, to teach it, to talk about it, to share. So this is all taking it to the next level. This is bringing forward a little bit more with it.
Yeah, we recorded some attunement with Father that are very powerful. Reiki did come back to me. I let go of it because I needed my soul power. Then what happened is very mystical. Last week, I went to Lake Geneva. He's asked that I that I went, and I did. And my anticipation brought Reiki back in a different realm. I had wisdom of my soul as a creator to see an eye to eye with Reiki. Enormous. It was so powerful, so pure. I saw what I couldn't see without Reiki. I'm still evaluating it. I think there is a lot of promise in it. But this is only an introductory conversation, so which is okay. So we are good to go with introduction like this. Seeing more is what I need to do. A couple of days from now, I'm going to go and dwell in the same spot by Lake Geneva. It's already locked in. Still a game. And I want something will happen. That's all I'm getting from above. Something will happen. And let it be. I don't have preconceived emotions. I don't need to see above and beyond because I don't want to create blocks and enticing any energy. Energy needs to be pure. If you're creating with energy at the level that he wants me to create, God gives. Then you take. It needs to be from his spoon into my mouth. So I didn't take that spoonful yet from him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a process.
It's a protocol from this point.
That process and developing it as it comes up.
It's a protocol in that place where he wants me to see it. It's you walk him with you together. It's back and forth in its creation. It has to angle with him before I see it. So he opens the choice, but he is a command. I'm just a follower. So this is how we work that prodigy level of I need to know, but you see it through my own eyes and be my kid before I open next step, but dwell and see and enjoyment. The purity comes from enjoyment. I'm not allowed to do anything stable per se because it will stop. It won't flow. And it's a protocol because he sees when, how, and when. When is a big problem. We're not when people. We're earth-bound people. So we're lacking certain points. That's why we're gifted with energies. That's why we need them for the protocols. Protocols, healthy, away from disease process, away from misery, away from people who don't want us. They disappear. It's such a good protection. Reiki is a good protector.
And how does that work? Is there a way that you know that the Reiki is working? Is there a scientific way to look at that? And also, you said it's a protector. Can you explain a little about that?
Well, at the level, God protected me with a knowing heart, not a knowing myself heart. Reiki is spontaneous. We have fun with it. With different people, it's different, he says. Reiki is pre-recorded with people before we come in to this earth. It's pre-recorded for you in particular. Attunement, he's asking me now, you're smiling at me, Father, and you're saying attunement. It takes a practitioner and a heart. So I don't know if practitioners are listening to me today. Not all comes through you as we were taught previously. It's simultaneous. So I think this is a new part. There's more parts that are new. I need to teach a course.
Yeah, the old tradition about Reiki is that you have a teacher and you go through a class. It could be a day or a couple of days of practice and receiving an attunement from this teacher who also infuses that in you. So that way now you're able to perform Reiki on someone else. Yes. So that they receive the energy of Reiki.
Yeah.
It doesn't automatically make them a master teacher because it takes time to practice it and to really work through that where you're practicing that energy and then receiving maybe another attunement at another time that will also develop your Reiki skills.
Correct.
So you're saying then that there's more.
There's more, yeah. I went through when my soul was called for action in my previous programs, I was describing the way it went. I was literally told to pursue Reiki. I had no idea I was such a traditional medical professional that I had no previous knowledge. But spontaneously, everything happened in the right places. It started to begin. After my introduction, my soul introduction, then the person was brought who owned the schools. I will teach during my lecture. I'll explain. Then the flow began. So I was enticed to know, maybe in a way. I didn't need it. Why? Because there was no time for me at that time. I needed to start 5. I was too early, but still welcomed. So time is stretchable. And I'm not a novice. I came from a high vibration. That's why they allowed themselves the genius level for me, because I was higher up than Reiki needed me to be. But maybe that was the glitch, that it just kicked in. My soul said, okay, I took enough. Let's become something more. It's part of the creation. You don't participate at the level where you cannot know. But then, to answer your question, then what happened? Reiki comes to you and it says, I am Reiki at that point. Then at the creator, and I please want to make sure that everybody understands, at the creator level, you're not fooled. You cannot be fooled. The gate of heavens opened, and so everything has a name. Reiki at that level has a name and has to introduce. It's a very powerful part of, people need to know that part. And Father needs me to be very specific and very clear about, it changes a lot of rules of engagement. You're introduced to power at that level, but it has its points. Reiki needs you more than you need it, because at the level of creatorship, you have everything that God can deliver or change, or there is a lot. There's a lot. And I'll talk about that. It's a very powerful prodigy level that doesn't need to be a prodigy level. It has a potential. So I feel the potential needs me to be more specific in a couple of days and say a lot more what I felt at that time. But that will open my eyes, my own eyes of a creator that hasn't had an opportunity to think about that yet, sort it out, and opened the gates to other people to self-heal. There's a huge potential. What happened with me physiologically as a result is enormous.
So what exactly have you experienced? What kind of healing have you experienced from Reiki?
It opens post-Reiki. Part of Reiki was not sufficient for me. I needed more, but it was at a soul level where I didn't know. And you're not supposed to know at any other levels. It will not be honest. It will not be particular. It will entice what you don't need to entice. You cannot answer for Reiki. You can't. God doesn't give you the ability to do that, because we coexist. We coexist. You flow to, okay, I'm teaching maybe a creatorship level. You flow until you become one. But you have to be noticed by God at that point and see whether you're able to do that. If you're not able, you're taught. But it's reckless not to know this level. This is what I particularly say. It's reckless not to know. It brings a lot more than I can say on the radio today. It brought me a lot. And it was in a silence mode. Let me give you mode. I didn't know it was Reiki. It was calmly working with me at a particular level where creator doesn't have to know, and it's not an accomplice. Reiki can be a little bit of a bitter pill for some people who don't know, who twist ideas. So it's a powerful creative tool to bring the best out in each person. It's not a problem for me. I surrendered better with Reiki. It's people who don't know how to surrender. It can hate them a little bit.
Because I think using Reiki, you just have to be relaxed and just feel at peace and just understand that the Reiki energy is flowing through you and is going to the place where you're either focusing your intent on or placing your hands. So that way the energy can just flow through naturally. You're not forcing it. You're not pushing it. You're just allowing it to flow.
Well, at the creatorship level, okay, I'm allowed to say these words. and I'm standing in a powerful place in front of love right now. It works best if you're honest. It's coded for honesty. It's coming from the Creator above us, who is telling us what works in case people want to know how to benefit. It's created in the pathway of honesty. So if somebody says, I didn't receive the treatment, well, it has to bind with something. It's like a medicine. It has to bind with something, with media that promotes it further. It's part of the design that God gave us. So to all that want to receive, find the honesty within. How? Maybe I will be a lecturer at some point and I will educate people, or let God show me the pathway for that. I'm positive about the possibilities that even creatively not known to me yet, but it's all ahead of us. It's a wonderful tool. I'm only saying about wonderful things. I will not introduce anything that is not positive.
It's trusting the process. It's knowing that it's
knowing the process.
God's will, not thy will, that this energy is working.
Thy will became a problem, but then I resoluted something. I didn't skip anything. I just had to pause for so long that let him decide what I needed to do differently. I composed so much time, then I refused certain things. And I'm not promoting that. I'm not promoting, I could handle. I think people need to restore, not resurrect. I needed to dwell so much and go so fast that still I don't think, it was not a dilemma for Father. He saw me. He knew I could. He looked at my life and he said, okay, this is what I propose. Are you reliable in that respect? I had to become reliable, but I pushed forward so much. He's still not respecting me because I sacrificed a little bit. And it was not a problem for me. It was a problem for him. He chose me to know that. I sacrificed a little bit, which I maybe didn't go out to see the movies and didn't go out and meet new friends. I stubborn that way. I love science.
So when you say sacrificed yourself, you're saying that sacrificed opportunities to go out rather than practice.
Yeah, I left the other structure to know more. And it's not the way God loves us, but being stubborn a little bit, as long as I'm not stubborn later, he says, just be honest about it.
Just know that it's for a short time.
For
and then you'll come
very
back
short
to
time.
Balance again.
Exactly. To my wits.
Because you need that. You need that balance
of course,
in life.
Yeah, but structure, I was so powerful that he obeyed me and supported me, knowing that I will still love him as a father, because you cannot abandon your honesty to love the Father, the Creator. You can't. But he knew I could. And he always made sure. So I became more ritual in my world. I started to become maybe a little more religious, which I don't have to do, he says. Father says, I know who you are. You don't have to bow down as much. I know who I brought to life, he said. So we had to discuss a lot more than he wanted me to.
But Reiki is not about any kind of religion or having any particular background. So can anyone perform Reiki or receive Reiki?
Most likely, honesty is a plus. Can and will, different scenarios. They need to, if you ask me as a clinical practitioner, they need to, because there's an abundance beyond Reiki. Reiki teaches you to stay out of problems, not to like what you're not supposed to anymore. It transforms you, transports you something else. Then I blocked Reiki and I started to do something that 24th century should have done. So I went 3 centuries faster. It was crazy, but I chose it. What was I supposed to do? Say, I'm going to abandon what I found? I found a little island of truth. And the island is an island. So I became an
Excuse me
islander.
for that.
No problem, no problem. I became an islander for a little bit. So the island took me, and the grass is grassier, I guess. And so I went 24th century, and he honestly said, "Okay, you went so far. What are we supposed to do?" I said, literally within, I found the voice within that said, "Is there a way to multiply, to choose and find out more?" He started to go. He didn't answer for me. I responded. He showed me more. I went faster. So there were no more problems. Then he opened a lot more. I was able to sustain that level of comprehension of, wow.
Once you made that choice and you went forward with this opportunity, then more doors open for you. Is that what you're saying?
I would protect people.
More came to
I would
you,
protect,
more gifts?
Yeah, but I will protect people by saying don't. Life is sacred. What's written needs to be enhanced only so much. Evolution, I studied evolution. After that, I had to study evolution. There's a percentage, there's a 10% that we have to adhere. We have to respond positively. Then I started to learn a lot about, above loves me. Don't get me wrong. I started getting theories after theory, but we're still talking about, the topic is still Reiki. For the purpose of talking Reiki, I would say stop where Reiki wants you to stop. Don't anticipate like I anticipated, because I was not blocked. Somebody can be blocked from going forward. There could be a creation of negativity between you and the creator. I would just be simple. Why? Because I found a lot of answers. Whatever he allows us to know, if you don't stumble, don't find out more, because this century is only for so much. Then I started to know about what happens in 15 centuries from now. He loves that part of me. I'm a kid, but I am cute with this.
Is that the prophet side of you that can look ahead, or just
No, we just
talk
play.
about things? And
It's a simple time between father and I. It's a simple time about what it's more like recreational, because I'm native there already. So it is what it is.
reminds me of a Nostradamus, or someone that can actually see things or predict things. We don't have to really speak about
We can't
that.
because
Maybe
I can
another
say
time.
something. I can say something because you cutely introduced his name, and actually, first time, religious or not religious people, this is for everybody. He says, "Go ahead." I'm checking with him my last intent. He worked off Matrix, God's Matrix, which is a place for me. So this is how high you can go if you're stubborn. You can actually find yourself at that level. But you have to perform, not prove. You start stubborn other areas. So Matrix is a wonderful place. Speaking of the energy, Reiki doesn't go there.
Yeah, so you're speaking about different levels that people can achieve or they go to because of how they've been, what they're learning actually, and from teachers that can assist them to get to the next level? Or is it something that you're doing within yourself?
Well, at the same time, I was listening to father and mother at the same time. So they angled me to say, and I don't know what your question was, because they completely grabbed my both left and right. So they submerged within me right now, and they said, the problem that I had with Reiki was you become brighter than you normally can be. So I became too bright, too fast, and too recreational with Reiki. Now, look at this as a problem still, because then what's not written has to be filled in by both you and Father. So I generated a lot more, but the purpose is still to enjoy yourself this way, the earth way. Don't stubborn yourself. I'm still going to say don't stubborn yourself, because I blocked everything and I just threw myself scientifically, energetically forward too much. I could have done it in 20 years, honestly. But what It is what it is. I have to be honest. I have to say my words. So be aware, I would say. Be capable. But again, think to yourself these questions. Ask that question, because I didn't know how to ask. Nobody taught me to ask that question, because at the level where I studied, it was... Yeah, somebody needs to talk about the value of Reiki, the value of self-love, the value of knowing, the value of living, because we're progressing. It's a progressive pathway. But how to progress so you don't lack, I think the medical professional in me has to register all these ideas, has to promote the wellness still in the world of knowing. It's only righteous, it's only complexity less. So taking the complexity that we don't need to play with is all right. Is all right.
So you found this to be very uplifting for yourself, that when
Enormous.
you chose to, 20 years ahead of time to do something that made a difference in your life, and you found that very supportive by other people, or when you're talking to others about it, what's the reaction that you get?
Well, you have to ask yourself questions, because at the soul level, soul needs to participate. I would promote the soulfulness. I need to promote soulfulness because the creator within you needs to be opened. But what happened, my spirit elevated so fast that I had no clue, but I was going at enormous rate. I just, I didn't wish, I didn't need, I just became one so quickly with the protector above. You normally have your long lifetime to become one with love. I just fast forwarded so quickly that then he said, then the word genius was not right for me. But he says, but you're right on. And I said, take it away, take the word away. So I started to work against me. So I started to circle too much. But I found spiritual DNA. By circling, I sprouted into 24th century, and I found spiritual DNA within. Then once you find that, you cannot, it's not an obnoxious place. You have to do it. You have to give it all.
What do you mean by spiritual DNA?
There is a topic that we will discuss it separately, but it one leads to another. We're pre-coded for all that. Going forward, we are. But we need to be a little bit more preclusive within. So why not play with all these ideas for now? Because it opens a lot more than we were allowed or anticipated before. Again, the above loves it. It integrates with spirituality at a thought process level where I think medicine is going to benefit. But I'm not being rushed into medicine and contribution towards that yet. So spontaneous part is over. Organizing myself is, I am proud to give all that back to Father and say, okay, your word, not my world, but it's my world right now, and I live it, and I love it, and I love it. But again, I'm one. You cannot create too much love potion around if God doesn't. We know that. Simultaneously, there are events that need to take place in the world history. So let it all take the shape that God needs it to take. That's an honest part of me that knows my position. I love it, but it doesn't mean that I have to be overwhelming other people and pushing their boundaries and telling them, go and forget about it. No, structure remains a structure. It's a positive, not problematic pathway. Structurally, we go. That's why you need to know love, not just light. Reiki is light. You need to know love to combust yourself forward like I did. So I essentially became dependent on Father, truly. Because there is no halfway. You cannot be a little bit pregnant or a little bit in love with the science. So I had to give my all.
Right. You either are or you're not. And I like how you said that, too, about being earthbound, that we find ourselves here on Earth and that there's events that will happen that have have been programmed to happen or pre-programmed,
Right.
coded, so to speak,
Right.
and just the way that things will be. And when we're talking about going back to Reiki again, how that can influence us and be really a part of people's lives if people are just learning about Reiki.
Well, time and Reiki, they are composed of almost the same enigma. So I became enigmatic with this and a little problematic because time is a virtue. So everything supposedly works together in the realm of thought and health and progression. You cannot remove Reiki and continue to evolve as a person. So, but you need to spice it enough. So he will explain it to me in a couple of days why he wants to give me more information. He told me that I will not study more, but again, it's the same problem which will follow me. I will have to study a lot more because he does want to remove as many boundaries as he can, but it needs to be his proud way. He is a father, he is a creator, and he needs me to see whatever I need to see again and then deliver. I'm just excited about the possibilities right now at this point until Wednesday. And today is Monday. Mm-hmm. So we're just venturing into it back again into Reiki, but with senses need to be engaged again. But how? He says, I will be happy and thrilled. Because maybe what I'm seeing the word Alzheimer's coming to me again. As I practiced geriatrics, my work was so stable that he needed me maybe to spice it a little bit and see other opportunities because he couldn't answer. I wanted to have a silver bullet. And he wanted me to know that he's not going to give the silver bullet. And Hakams came a couple of times, which is a regret for him. I'm not supposed to do, but I raised my voice a little bit. But that was apart from being a creator. So he chose me to stop being a medical professional, and he says, "This is your sentence. You develop your own senses, wash out medicine out of your ego, come back to me. Will teach you a little bit more." So I'm again sitting behind the steering wheel. Usually I can talk, and drive. And so on my way to lake, we'll discuss things.
And I know with Reiki that it could help people on many levels. It could help them not only physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually, perhaps. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
It has a capacity, but the feelings. So the emotional code, yes, it's present. But then I was stable to begin with. So I needed, and that's what happened, it's part of the creation. I needed more of a feelings pattern, which I always was thinking about my patients too. So I started I became too bright too fast with not being naive. I needed to see that there's a future for medicine in that realm. And studying under Dr. Andrew Weil, he said, open up. He gave us such a speech at our graduation party. He gave us a walking stick, and he said, walk that path. Find the new available science twists and turns. Become a researcher. And he gave us such a powerful speech at the graduation party that I somehow linked, and I said, I'm going.
You took that on. You decided
I did.
That was your path.
Yeah, well, he's a teacher. He's a father of medicine in that field where before him we didn't know as much. And it was just not too long ago. But what I noticed about students who were in my class, so modest. We were at the level where, like ground level, where there is something that you have to discover. And it was not about money or about I need something. No, there was something needed to be delivered again to us so we can grow. Possibilities. I think we all felt possibilities. We all were probably properly coded, like I said, for there is more for us.
Right, but first you have to walk before you run.
Run is not allowed again.
But just to, you know, so to speak. And
yeah.
it's just a matter of first learning what you need to learn.
Yeah.
And then being guided and deciding if that's your choice to move forward with it, which you did. You took another path of integrative medicine and learning things on a different level, a spiritual level.
Yeah.
And Reiki is energy and trusting that energy. And on a soul level, if you're really ready to receive that energy as well and integrate that into your system. And it can help people, you know, with their cellular system to help them be more healthy in many different ways. And seeing the light. Like you said, there's a lot of light that comes from Reiki.
Yeah.
And bring light into the body. So it brings the cells to a healthier level.
Yeah. What happened with me, and again, I came to learn heart. That's why Father needed me to twist my path, my life a little bit, because I truly came for that particular reason. Somebody studying maybe their ego pathways, so Reiki is more appropriate for them. I needed love to create with me. And see the light again. So we're going back to Reiki and seeing. But the way you question me, you have to walk before you run. It was Archangel Michael all over again. One time, you sounded like my guardian angel, because one time he asked me, beginning stages, he says, Ella, are you all, and he's not going, and I'm being blocked. So he pretty much taught me this, I can't even say it right now. He taught me not to rush into things. So it doesn't reflect on my, I love Archangel Michael. It doesn't reflect badly on him. But yes, truly, the norm is a norm, not to rush into anything. And being able comes beyond you. So if you're presented with that package, all of a sudden I can sparkle myself with much more, and that's love. Go ahead for it, but know that you need to ask your creator within whether it's applicable or not. And that's the part where I don't think any science touches. That's about life more than love or light. And life is sacred, so you need to touch your sacred part of you and see beyond of any of what teachers can do, but only God love can produce results for you. So I anticipate a lot more growth from Reiki and towards creatorship this particular time.
Yes, and knowing that it's heartfelt, that you feel compelled to do that, and the gifts will come, that step by step, and not to rush into it is what you're saying. Take the process and just go with it, go with the flow, and see how that works for you. You know, and try it on, try Reiki, you know, give that a chance and see how that works for you.
It brought me a lot more sentimental values, virtues than I ever anticipated. And again, I was born in a former Soviet Union where religion was prohibited and love was, I don't know what kind of creatorship I lived in before, but it became such a spontaneous explosion for me, knowing Reiki, for somebody who was not even brought up in that realm of thought.
Right, because you don't need to have a certain background to practice Reiki, and it doesn't matter where you're from or what you do. It's available, and it's just a matter of if you want to tune into that, so to speak.
Yeah, but Greeks, Father and I started to anticipate my conversation with him behind the steering wheel in 2 days, and he started to introduce ideas, and it was a very beloved point of view that he gave me this morning. He said, Greeks, there was a cultural explosion when Greeks lived, philosophy, psychology, call it whatever you want, but they gave us so much. They used the Reiki that I know right now. So he had to give me that powerful tool, and it's his pride to give it to me because I've done good things with this type of Reiki. But essentially what you and I were taught was a different kind of Reiki. It was a Japanese style. It was very articulated point. You brought your study book with you. There is a lot written, but
there's many books on
written,
Reiki.
but applications chose me for something else than what Greeks, so, but again, it's not going backwards. I think it's introducing a wonderful, and I anticipate a lot of people will love the way we're going to grow because a lot more available. Yes, it took place years ahead of time, but it's still, we're living in this 21st century. Let it be. I would say let it be. Let it be. Giftedness goes through the roof. My musical gifts, my poetry gifts. I loved it so much. I became one with all that creation so fast, and I was amazed. And every day was an amusement for me. I'm like living in an amusement park.
Right. So in this book, we talked about there's many books on Reiki.
Yes.
Dr. Master Usui or Master Takata, for example. Those are Japanese that actually moved Reiki forward into the culture.
Yeah.
So people became, practitioners of Reiki, and there's different lineages, many lines of Reiki where it originated from. And I just opened up my book here, and within the first degree Reiki, I'm just going to read a quote here. When one realizes one is asleep, at that moment, one is already half awake. Ouspensky, The Psychology of Man's Possible Evolution.
That's it. It's all about it. But it's a tool. It promotes us as people. So Reiki promotes us. It's at the level that is self-healing, as is. But again, I feel my introduction was so specific towards medical field. I think I can introduce a lot more going back to medicine and going forward with self-healing. I think there are different levels of what physical, of course, levels that I can still think about and see what can be done. So A, recreationally, B, medically, and maybe there's a C and a D and an E and an F. So let it all be a problem that I will have now, listening to more pre-recorded, and usually it comes on genome. So while I'm driving, so I will just I'll mention genome. So it's available for me at the genome level. So
Which
I'll just
means
take
what? So if people have never heard about
genome. It's part of the creatorship that it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure drive for me. I'll be listening to pre-recorded in my voice of a creator lecture that will teach. I self-teach myself, but I had to learn genome, which is 24th century. It's very avant-garde, and you have an experience now with genome. Genome is a state of being. It's very rational, it's very beautiful, it's very you, because your creator from the within, not just God from within, gave you that opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's also a combination of people's skills, their abilities, their interests, where they lie, so to speak, and determining where they're at and what they're doing.
It's a native tool. Like in your case, you took it in within 15 seconds a couple of weeks ago. I saw that genome became available to you. I cannot remove that from your path. So it was right there, and I submerged you in your genome. But it's a natural tool from above. So we all came from above. Okay. So the founder of the truth says, if anybody thinks about where we come from, we are part of the creation. So from creation, from above, so being native to the thought process that we're there, genome prevails there. So genome, I'm opening such a scientific information. Genome teaches us at that level, but it gives you at this level an earthbound level as well. I've seen them work spontaneously. So the field of spontaneous, that's my gratitude towards my life being here. Spontaneous, I studied, it's my path. Spontaneous is what we do with Father now. Spontaneous is like Reiki. A lot of Reiki is very spontaneous, very connected to Father. There is another pathway that we will be probably talking about next time we sit down to talk about Reiki, but Reiki will teach me about what it's going to do. So there will be a lot of excitement created for me in a couple of days.
Yes, and it's so exciting to talk about, how people can be healed, how people can actually help themselves
spontaneously
and help others.
Spontaneously,
this is spontaneous healing. And this can be done through Reiki, through that technique of that. And, it was a pleasure speaking with you today about this wonderful topic of Reiki. Is there anything that you'd like to conclude with?
Well, I'm waiting for Wednesday. I want to be there already. I'm silly that way. I'm fortunate maybe that way, but I guess fortunate does it. So let it be all spontaneous. Let it all be healing. I hope that our little talk gave you some problem-solving abilities as well. Maybe anticipation is there. So let's see what happens.
And we look forward to our next discussion about Reiki and taking it to the next level.
Absolutely,
So,
Sharon.
Thank you.
Anytime with you. Anytime.
You.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, Ella Arbit. And thank you to all our listeners at SunGates Center. We really appreciate taking the time to join us today. And for more information about Reiki and what you need to know about it, you can go to sungatecenter.com or you can call 847-345-0988. And we wish you a beautiful, happy rest of your day.
Take a good care of yourself. Bye-bye.